What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. A few nights ago, Netflix stealthily put out a new Cloverfield movie. This is the third in the Cloverfield franchise. This is called The Cloverfield Paradox, and this movie is involved with J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves. I know that they were involved with the first movie. I believe Matt Reeves was the director of the first one. I don't think that either of them directed this movie. I think it was someone else whose name I've never heard of before, and I will put his or her name on the screen now. But I do believe that Reeves and Abrams are involved in this movie in some capacity. This movie also has quite a few actors that I was familiar with from other projects. We have Elizabeth Debicki. She was in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. She was one of the bad guys, and she was also Ayesha in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I did not recognize her here because she has a very different haircut here than she did in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and in Guardians of the Galaxy she was painted gold. But she's here. We also have the guy who played Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. We have Chris O'Dowd from the IT Crowd and Baron Zemo from Captain America Civil War. And I like quite a few of these actors. I think that they all do a really good job in this movie. And from this point forward, I'm going to try not to spoil any of the major plot points in this movie, but it is going to be very difficult for me to talk about this movie without spoiling some stuff. I'm going to try and focus more on performances that I really liked and the tone of the movie, and I'm going to try not to just give away all the plot elements so soon after the movie came out, but just in case, you have been warned, spoiler warning from this point forward. So anyway, this movie in a lot of ways feels like a spiritual successor to the movie Alien. Alien was a horror movie set in outer space. That was a big deal. Before that, if it was set in outer space, it was a science fiction story, and it usually wasn't very scary. Alien managed to be terrifying, and it just happened to be set in outer space. That was kind of the thing. It was a horror movie first, science fiction second, and I feel like that's what this movie is doing. Any science in this movie is really just a vessel to get the plot moving from point A to point B. There's one point in the movie where they say something like, we have to go out and manually untangle all this stuff, and they say some sciencey stuff that really doesn't mean anything at all. It's just a way to get these characters into another dangerous situation. So if you're one of the people, you have hang-ups about science fiction not being sciencey enough. I've seen people on the internet who kind of have hang-ups about that thing. You might not enjoy this movie. Me personally, I enjoy Star Wars. I enjoy, I don't know, Escape from New York. These are not really science fiction movies. Escape from New York especially isn't, but Star Wars is a fantasy movie that just happens to be set in outer space. Alien is not a science fiction movie. It's a horror movie. I don't really care if these movies blend genres and they play it fast and loose with the science. I don't care. I don't really care about real-world science, so I don't have to have that kind of thing in movies. If I enjoy the movie, then I enjoy the movie. And I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be comparing this to Alien because not only is it tonally similar to Alien, but it hits a lot of the same beats. There's one point we get a jump scare scene where I don't want to give too much away, but I was very surprised that a xenomorph did not jump out of this guy's chest. There are several different kill scenes, I guess you could say, and they are all done in a very creative, different way. So we don't have an alien jumping out of someone's chest and going around killing people like we do in the movie Alien. There is one scene that's kind of similar to that, but then there are some other scenes where characters die, and they're very different than anything that I've ever seen before in a space station is trying to kill us kind of movie. This also kind of reminded me of the movie Sunshine. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen that movie. It had Mark Strong in it, Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie. I saw it a couple times. Didn't really like that movie, but it kind of reminds me of that, where you have the people of planet Earth. They are joining forces, trying to save the Earth. In Sunshine, they're trying to reignite the sun, and yes, it sounds as ludicrous as it was in the movie, but you got a whole bunch of people on a space station who don't get along with each other, but they all have to work together for the common good of humanity. That is going on here also. In fact, it really looks like everyone who is involved with this movie watched Sunshine and Alien and then said, okay, let's go ahead and make a science fiction movie. It really feels like those were their big influences here, and I don't know, maybe they've never seen the movie Sunshine. Maybe they were just looking at Alien, but this does feel very similar to those movies. Also, I do want to talk a little bit about the connections to the first Cloverfield movie. So again, spoilers. If you don't want to know about some of the major plot stuff in this movie, turn this video off right now. So at the very beginning of the movie, we find out that these guys are in the space station and they are trying to jumpstart this particle accelerator thing so that that they can solve the energy crisis on Earth. And I read somewhere that this movie is actually supposed to be set in the year 2028. I didn't hear that number anywhere in the movie, so I don't know if that's actually when this is supposed to be set. But anyway, this is supposed to be set somewhere in that time period, and the people of Earth, they're running out of energy. They're running low on fuel, I think, because at one point we see a flashback where one of the characters, they are like waiting in line for a really long time just to get gas for their vehicle. So Earth is in dire straits, and then these guys are trying to jumpstart a particle accelerator in outer space because it'd be really dangerous to do it on Earth, and we know that from watching The Flash. And so anyway, they're trying to jumpstart this thing in outer space, and they keep failing. And then we see this guy on Earth, who's actually Harvey Bullock from Gotham, and he's talking about how this is really dangerous, and it's going to tear open the space-time continuum, and it's going to bring demons and monsters into our planet. And then by this point, I'm already thinking, okay, are they going to try and connect this movie to the first Cloverfield movie? Because the first Cloverfield movie was basically a monster movie done in a found footage way. And then they turn on the particle accelerator, it works, and then all kinds of really horrible stuff starts happening. Characters start dying, characters start appearing on the ship, and everyone's like, who is this person? How does this person know your name? Stuff like that. So that is basically the plot of the movie. And I really think if you like Alien and you don't mind seeing something that is extremely similar to Alien, then you're probably going to like this movie, maybe. And if you don't mind that it plays really fast and loose with the real world science, you're probably not going to hate this movie. I liked it quite a bit. There are some connections to the first Cloverfield movie, and I've pretty much already kind of established what that is. The movie establishes what that is in the first 10 minutes, I think. So if you've seen the first Cloverfield movie, you can probably kind of figure out what the connections are. I felt like whenever it kind of played around with those connections / cameos, it was a little bit unnecessary, but I'm very curious what somebody who has never seen Cloverfield would think of this movie. If they haven't seen that movie, would they watch this and would they see the fan servicey moments and say, that makes absolutely no sense to me, or would they watch this and the fan service moments would feel organic and part of this movie? Because you could look at the fan service moment. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, guys. I've warned you enough in this video. Clover, the monster from Cloverfield, it shows up at one point, either that or it's a similar monster that is much, much bigger. At one point, the escape pod from the spaceship, it goes down in the clouds, and then this gigantic monster that looks like it's about 8 billion feet tall, it raises its head up out of the clouds. So much, much taller than the monster from Cloverfield. So maybe, I don't know, the Cloverfield monster is like a baby that was sent back in time. I don't know, it's an offspring of this giant monster here, because we are told that turning on a particle accelerator will tear open holes in the space-time continuum. And this movie does play around with alternate dimensions, so it's possible that the monster we see here is from an alternate dimension, and then the monster from Cloverfield is maybe descended and sent back in time. I don't know. But that's not really important. I'm very curious if somebody who's never seen Cloverfield would watch this, and they would say, oh, okay, monster, Donald Logue, he mentioned that earlier in the movie, gotcha. Or if they would watch this and they would say, I don't understand what's going on. Do I need to watch these other Cloverfield movies to understand this? And I would say 98% of that answer is no, you don't. You can watch this on its own, and then you can watch the others if you want. I still haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't know if this connects to those or not, or to that movie or not, but I'm excited. I like this movie. I'm as excited now as I was when I watched the first Cloverfield movie. I feel like I was one of 3 people who liked the first Cloverfield movie. It seems like, especially after Chronicle came out, man, screw that movie. I hated Chronicle. But it seems like after that movie came out, everyone was like, this movie is so much better than Cloverfield. It does what that movie failed to do. And I'm thinking, what was wrong with Cloverfield? I like Cloverfield. I like this movie. I'm very curious to see how this is going to hold up, if it's going to maintain such a low rating. It has an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, which doesn't mean anything at all. There have been movies that I really love that have low ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and there have been movies that I absolutely despise that had much higher ratings than I ever thought they would. So Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean anything at all, but I am curious why this movie has such a low rating right now. Maybe people are just upset that it was kind of just sprung on us and they didn't have any time to prepare. That didn't bother me. I thought, oh cool, Cloverfield movie, I'll watch that tomorrow, which is today for you guys. But anyway, I like this movie quite a bit. I'm very excited for the future of this franchise. Apparently later this year we are going to get, spoilers again, we are later going to get a World War II movie set in the Cloverfield universe or multiverse or whatever. I'm excited. I want to see more of what these guys are going to be doing. So anyway, that's my brief, somewhat spoilery free thoughts on this movie. I'm curious to see what you guys thought. If you've seen it, let's talk about about it in the comments below. So fair warning to anyone who hasn't seen the movie, spoilers in the comments, so hopefully you're not going to go scrolling through the comments after you turn off my video. So anyway, I will talk to you guys in the future. You guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.